Sarah Martinez stared at the purple-tinged liquid in her coffee mug and fought back a snort of laughter. The entire Galactic Security Council chamber had gone deathly silent, all 17 representatives of the most advanced species in the known universe holding their breath or whatever passed for breathing among the methane breathers and silicon-based lifeforms. You're telling me, she drawled, swirling the contaminated coffee like a wine connoisseur, that some genius tried to assassinate the human ambassador by poisoning the coffee machine with Nexillium extract, the deadliest neurotoxin in the galaxy. Ambassador K. Thrix of the Zinthari Collective, his crystalline form shimmering with anxiety, made a sound like wind chimes in a hurricane. Please, Representative Martinez, put down the cup immediately. 1 microdrop of Nexillium is enough to kill a Craxton battle beast. You've consumed at least 30 milliliters. Sarah took another long, deliberate sip, maintaining eye contact with the would-be assassin, a rather nervous-looking Volrathi diplomat, whose tendrils were turning an interesting shade of chartreuse. Damn, this actually improves the taste of the break-room coffee. Anyone want to try some? The collective gasp that swept through the chamber would have been enough to decompress a small starship. Impossible, shrieked High Counselor Vexterra, her bioluminescent patches flashing in distress patterns. Our most advanced medical scanners confirm you have ingested enough Nexillium to kill every sentient being in this sector. You should be experiencing total neural collapse. Sarah rolled her eyes and pulled up her medical readout on her wrist computer. Oh look, my serotonin levels are actually up. Guess I found a new antidepressant. She turned to her assistant, a young human named Marcus Chen, who was trying desperately not to laugh. Make a note, we should patent this before the pharmaceutical companies figure it out. The Volrathi assassin fainted, all 8 of his legs going limp at once. For the love of the cosmic creators, wheezed Ambassador TK of the Phylaxian Empire, his exoskeleton rattling. What are you humans? Oh, you know. Sarah shrugged, finishing her coffee, just your average Deathworlders who evolved on a planet that tried to kill us in new and exciting ways every day. This is nothing compared to my grandmother's cooking. Now, shall we get back to discussing the trade agreement? Or does someone else want to try poisoning me? I've got a meeting at 4. The story of how humanity discovered their immunity to Nexillium started, as many great scientific discoveries do, with a series of increasingly poor decisions at a university research lab. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, head of xenobiochemistry at the Terran Galactic Institute of Science, had been studying the molecular structure of Nexillium for months. The compound fascinated her. It was elegant, complex, and absolutely lethal to every known species in the galaxy. Until that fateful Tuesday morning when her grad student, Tom Williams, stumbled into the lab half asleep and mistook the sample container for his energy drink. The security footage of what followed became legendary in scientific circles. Tom, chugging what he thought was his morning boost, while Elena screamed and triggered the hazmat protocols, the poor research assistant who fainted at his terminal. The 3 alien researchers who had to be sedated when Tom not only failed to die but complained that the substance tasted like pickle juice mixed with battery acid. Elena's subsequent paper, titled Human Immunological Response to Nexillium, or How My Grad Student Should Have Been Dead But Wasn't, revolutionized the field of xenobiology. It also earned her the prestigious Galactic Science Academy Award, which she accepted while wearing a t-shirt that read Humans or Space Australia. But back in the present, Sarah had bigger problems than explaining human biological quirks to a room full of stunned aliens. Someone had just tried to assassinate her, and more importantly, they'd wasted perfectly good coffee doing it. Security footage, she announced, standing up and straightening her diplomatic uniform. I want it. Now. And somebody wake up our Volrathi friend there, he's getting blood rushed to all the wrong tentacles. Marcus, ever efficient, was already pulling up the holofeeds. Got it, Ambassador. Looks like our purple friend had help. There's a Mersian operative by the coffee machine at 0700 hours. Mersians, Sarah groaned. It's always the Mersians. What is it with silicon-based life forms and their inability to accept that humans don't follow their rules of biology? The security feeds showed a tall, crystalline being carefully adding the purple Nexillium to the coffee maker's water reservoir. The Mersian's faceted surface reflected the early morning light, creating a disco ball effect that would have been beautiful if it wasn't recording an assassination attempt. Well, Sarah mused, at least they were thorough. That's about 12 million credits worth of Nexillium they just wasted. Could have bought a small moon with that. High Counselor Vexterra's bioluminescence had shifted from distress to embarrassment. Representative Martinez, on behalf of the Council, I offer our deepest apologies for this incident. Rest assured, both the Volrathi and Mersian delegations will face severe consequences. Oh, don't worry about it, Sarah waved dismissively. This isn't even the most creative assassination attempt I've dealt with this month. Remember the quantum destabilizer in my shower? Now that was innovative. This is just. She gestured at her empty coffee mug, amateur hour. The quantum destabilizer incident had been particularly amusing. The would-be assassins hadn't accounted for the fact that human shower songs, specifically Sarah's off-key rendition of Sweet Caroline, created harmonic frequencies that completely neutralized the device. The cleaning staff had found it transformed into a rather attractive paperweight. Marcus cleared his throat. Ambassador, perhaps we should address the underlying issue? This is the 7th assassination attempt since we announced the Terra Proxima mining rights agreement. 8, Sarah corrected. You forgot the sentient plant that tried to strangle me in the Arboretum last week. That was an assassination attempt? I thought it was just being friendly. Marcus dear, when a carnivorous alien Venus flytrap offers you a hug, it's rarely with good intentions. The council chamber had devolved into chaos, with various representatives arguing about jurisdiction, diplomatic immunity, and whether humans should be reclassified as eldritch horrors rather than Deathworlders. Sarah took advantage of the confusion to send a quick message to Earth's Central Command. Need more coffee. The good stuff this time. Also, send the xenobiology team, apparently. We're immune to another thing. Might want to update the things that don't kill humans database. It's getting longer than the things that do list. The response was immediate coffee en route. Xenobio team excited. Request permission to study your liver. Tell them to buy me dinner first, she muttered, typing back a reply. The Volrathi assassin was beginning to stir, his tendrils twitching like overcooked noodles. Sarah walked over and crouched beside him, putting on her best diplomatic smile, the one that showed just a few too many teeth. So she said cheerfully, want to tell me who put you up to this? Or should I drink another cup of Nexillium just to watch you faint again? The Volrathi's eye stalks retracted in terror. The Mersian Mining Consortium. They said humans were threatening their monopoly on Class 4 planetary extraction rights. They promised me a moon. A moon, Sarah clicked her tongue disapprovingly. Amateur. Should have held out for at least a solar system, she stood up, addressing the still chaotic council. Ladies, gentlemen, and beings of indeterminate configuration, if we could all settle down, I believe I have a proposal that will satisfy everyone. The chamber gradually quieted, all eyes, sensors, consciousness, detecting organs turning to her. Clearly, she continued, there's some concern about humanity's role in galactic mining operations. Valid concerns, I might add. We are very good at digging things up. We had lots of practice on Earth. But instead of trying to poison me, which... She held up her empty mug. Clearly isn't working. Why don't we discuss a joint venture? The Mersian representative's crystalline surface clouded with confusion. Joint venture. Exactly. You have the technology, we have the biological imperative to stick our noses where they don't belong and survive things that should kill us. Why compete when we can collaborate? Plus, she added with a wink, we make excellent coffee. When it's not poisoned. The next few hours were a blur of negotiations, treaties, and what passed for handshakes among species with varying numbers of appendages. Sarah managed to secure not only a peaceful resolution, but also exclusive rights for human coffee exports to the galactic core worlds. The fact that most species couldn't actually drink coffee was, she decided, a problem for the marketing department. As the chamber finally emptied, Marcus approached with a fresh cup of coffee, thoroughly scanned for toxins this time. You planned this, didn't you? He accused, unable to keep the admiration out of his voice. Sarah took a sip and smiled. Marcus, my boy, the first rule of galactic diplomacy is never waste a good assassination attempt. The second rule is always carry an antacid. This much coffee plays hell with my stomach. And the third rule. Never play poker with a telepathic species. Lost my first hover car that way, she checked her schedule on her wrist computer. Now don't we have that meeting with the Hive Mind collective? The one about their concerns over human individual thought patterns being contagious. Marcus nodded. They're particularly worried about human memes spreading through their neural network. Perfect, Sarah straightened her jacket. Time to show them what happened when I introduced their drone clusters to cat videos. As they walked to the next meeting, Sarah couldn't help but reflect on humanity's strange journey to this point. A species that evolved on a death world, survived countless natural disasters, developed space travel mostly out of spite and curiosity, and turned out to be immune to the deadliest substances in the galaxy. It wasn't that humans were particularly special, they were just too stubborn to know when they should be dead. The Nexillium incident would go down in galactic history as the day everyone realized that humans weren't just surviving in space, they were thriving on things that should kill them. Scientific papers would be written, documentaries would be made, and somewhere in a university lab, a grad student would probably try to figure out why humans could drink Nexillium but still got brain freeze from ice cream. Sarah's comm unit buzzed another message from Earth Command coffee shipment arrived. Also, your liver just got its own fan club among these xenobiologists, requesting tissue samples. She typed back, tell them to wait until I'm done with it. Still need it for diplomatic functions. And send more coffee, I have a feeling we're going to need it. After all, in a galaxy full of beings that could kill you with a thought, shoot lasers from their eyes, or reshape reality with a sneeze, sometimes the most terrifying thing was a human with a cup of coffee and a point to prove. And Sarah? She was just getting started. There were trade agreements to negotiate, diplomatic crises to resolve, and an entire galaxy of things that couldn't kill her to discover. Plus, she had to figure out what to do with all that Nexillium. It really did improve the taste of breakroom coffee. Just another day in the life of humanity's most poison-proof diplomat, armed with nothing but caffeine, sarcasm, and the inexplicable ability to survive anything the universe threw at her. The galaxy didn't stand a chance. Sarah's meeting with the Hive Mind collective was going exactly as well as she'd expected, which is to say, it was absolute chaos. What do you mean your drones are demanding casual Fridays? The primary node's crystalline structure was pulsing with what Sarah had learned to recognize as extreme agitation. They are part of a unified consciousness. They don't even wear clothes. Well, Sarah replied, trying to keep a straight face while Marcus quietly wheezed with suppressed laughter behind her. It seems they've developed a fondness for Hawaiian shirts, at least in concept, and don't get me started on what happened when they discovered jazz. The secondary node chimed in, its resonance frequency hitting what Sarah privately called the panic octave. 300,000 drones simultaneously started. What did you call it? Finger snapping. They don't even have fingers. To be fair, Marcus added helpfully, they've gotten quite good at approximating the sound with their mandibles. The meeting had started normally enough, with the Hive Mind collective demanding explanations for the contamination of their perfect unity by human concepts. It had quickly devolved when one of their observation drones started humming Take 5 in perfect pitch. Sarah took another sip of her now infamous coffee, still slightly purple from the morning's excitement, and considered her next words carefully. Look, you can't expect to observe humanity without picking up some of our quirks. We're infectious that way. Not like a virus, more like an earworm. A what worm? All 7 nodes screeched in unison. It's an expression she hastened to explain, like when you can't get a song out of your head. Speaking of which, has anyone shown your drones Baby Shark yet? The horror emanating from the collective was almost physical. That mimetic sequence is classified as a Class 3 cognitive hazard in 16 systems. Oh please, Sarah scoffed, wait until they discover TikTok dances. Just then, her wrist computer chirped with an urgent message. The holographic display showed Admiral Chen of the Terran Space Force, looking unusually amused for someone making an emergency call. Ambassador Martinez, he said, barely containing his grin, we may have a situation. Remember that Nexillium you ingested this morning? Sarah raised an eyebrow. Hard to forget. Best coffee I've had all week. Yes, well, it seems your body didn't just neutralize it. According to our xenobiologists, you've metabolized it into something new. Something that, has some interesting properties. Define interesting, Sarah said, already dreading the answer. How do you feel about glowing in the dark? Sarah looked down at her hands. Sure enough, there was a faint purple luminescence beginning to emanate from her skin. Well, she sighed. That's new. The Hive Mind collective's drones, which had been maintaining a respectful distance, suddenly moved closer, fascinated by the light show. Don't suppose this is permanent, Sarah asked the Admiral. Our scientists say it should wear off in about a week. On the bright side, pun intended, you're now technically a biological light source. The energy efficiency committees are very excited. Marcus, who had finally gotten his laughter under control, lost it again. At least you'll save on electricity bills, he managed between gasps. This is exactly what I mean. The primary node was vibrating with frustration. Humans don't just survive things that should kill them, they turn them into accessories. Our drones are already requesting bioluminescent upgrades. Sarah glanced at her glowing hands again. To be fair, it does complement my complexion. The situation only got more complicated when word of her new condition spread through the station. Within hours, she had received requests from 17 different scientific institutions to study her unique metabolic processes. 3 marriage proposals from energy-based life forms who found her new appearance evolutionarily advantageous, and 1 very confused maintenance bot that kept trying to install her in the ceiling as emergency lighting. Look on the bright side, Marcus said, as they walked back to her office, her purple glow creating interesting patterns on the corridor walls. At least no one's trying to assassinate you anymore. They're probably afraid you'll turn their poisons into mood lighting. I'd prefer if they just learned to use their words, Sarah replied, waving off another enthusiastic researcher with a scanner. Though I have to admit, this beats the time I accidentally inhaled that Jovian spore that made me speak in rhyming couplets for 3 days. Her office had become something of a spectacle. The normally stark diplomatic space now looked like a cross between a disco and a xenobiology lab, thanks to her gentle purple illumination and the small army of scientific instruments that had somehow manifested in her absence. Ambassador, her computer chimed, "You have 27 urgent messages from the Galactic Patent Office regarding the human process Nexillium byproduct. Also, the station's entertainment committee wants to know if you're available for their annual bioluminescence festival next month." Sarah collapsed into her chair, creating a brief light show as her glow reflected off the polished desk surface. "Tell them all to submit their requests in triplicate, and remind them that my genetic material is protected under at least 6 different treaties." She paused. "And tell the entertainment committee maybe depends on if I'm still glowing by then." Marcus was already organizing the chaos of incoming messages. "Should I also respond to the Mersian Mining Consortium? They've sent an official apology, along with a rather substantial compensation offer. Let me guess, they want samples of my transformed Nexillium. Actually, they want to market it as a premium beverage additive. Apparently, the video of you drinking it went viral in the galactic core. They're calling it human-grade extreme coffee enhancement." Sarah pinched the bridge of her nose, her fingers casting purple shadows. "Sometimes I think the galaxy is just trolling us at this point." Just then, her office door chimed, admitting a very nervous-looking Volrathi, the same one who had fainted earlier during the assassination attempt. He was clutching what appeared to be a gift basket. "Representative Martinez," he began, tendrils twisting anxiously, "I come bearing an official apology and... Is it true you're glowing?" "No, I just have an excellent skincare routine," Sarah deadpanned. "What's in the basket?" "Ah, yes, traditional Volrathi peace offerings, including, several rather potent neurotoxins that we thought you might enjoy with your coffee." Marcus made a strangled sound that might have been either horror or amusement. Sarah looked at the basket, then at her glowing hands, then back at the thoroughly confused Volrathi. "You know what, why not? But if I start floating or develop telepathy, I'm sending the medical bills to your embassy." Is that likely?" "On Earth, we have a saying," Sarah said, reaching for the basket. "What doesn't kill you might give you superpowers, though usually we're not quite this literal about it." As she examined the selection of supposedly lethal substances, each carefully labeled with skull and crossbones in 17 different languages, Sarah couldn't help but marvel at the absurdity of her life. Here she was, a glowing human diplomat, casually accepting a gift basket of poisons from a failed assassin, while somewhere in the galaxy, a hive mind was learning to appreciate jazz. "Marcus," she called out, "clear my schedule for tomorrow morning. I have a feeling we're going to be making some interesting discoveries about human biology." "Again." "Already done," he replied, though the medical team insists on standing by this time. Apparently, they're tired of updating the things humans can survive database retroactively. The Volrathi was still standing there, seemingly mesmerized by her purple glow. "You humans," he said finally, "you're not really Deathworlders, are you? You're something else entirely." Sarah smiled, and in the purple light, it looked almost ethereal. "We're just very, very adaptable. Now, who wants to help me try these new coffee additives? I'm thinking the one labeled instant death might make an interesting espresso." And somewhere in the vast expanse of space, in a secure facility dedicated to studying humanity's peculiarities, a scientist added another entry to their ever-growing list of things that really should kill humans but somehow don't. Below it, in smaller text, they added note may cause unexpected bioluminescence. Further research required. Just another day in the life of humanity's most interesting diplomatic experiment. 3 days and 14 experimental poison coffee combinations later, Sarah had discovered several important things. First, not all neurotoxins improved coffee flavor. The one labeled instant death tasted like burnt rubber in old socks, though it did make her temporarily able to see ultraviolet light. Second, her purple glow had developed a peculiar habit of pulsing in time with her heartbeat, making her an inadvertent mood indicator. And third, the Galactic Council had finally given up on traditional assassination attempts and was now just sending her increasingly passive-aggressive meeting invitations. "They want you to chair the Committee for Xenobiological Safety Standards," Marcus announced, reading from his tablet. The irony is apparently lost on them. Sarah, who was currently floating 6 inches above her chair, a side effect of something called eternal darkness mixed with a double shot of espresso, merely shrugged. "At least the anti-gravity effect is convenient. Do you know how much I'm saving on hover transport fees?" The office had adapted to her various new conditions. Light sensors had been adjusted to compensate for her bioluminescence, her desk had been magnetized to keep her anchored during unexpected levitation episodes, and someone had helpfully installed a small warning sign caution human metabolic processes in progress. "The xenobiologists have finally released their full report," Marcus continued. "Apparently your liver has been nominated for sentience rights. It's currently leading the polls." "Wonderful. Does this mean I have to negotiate with my own organs now, because I draw the line at collective bargaining with my pancreas?" Just then, the door chimed, admitting a delegation that could only be described as eclectic three-immersion scientists, the entire Hive Mind collective's leadership still humming jazz, and what appeared to be a very excited potted plant. Ambassador Martinez, the lead immersion, began, crystal facets gleaming. "We've made some remarkable discoveries about your unique condition. If you say I'm developing psychic powers, I owe the betting pool 50 credits. "Better," the scientist replied, practically vibrating with enthusiasm. "Your modified Nexillium has evolved into a completely new compound. We're calling it humanium." Sarah raised an eyebrow, causing a ripple of purple light to cascade across her skin. "Please tell me that name isn't official yet." "It gets better," another scientist chimed in. "The compound appears to have remarkable properties when exposed to human processed coffee." "Oh no. It creates a perfectly safe stimulant that temporarily grants non-humans limited human adaptability." The potted plant chose this moment to demonstrate by doing what appeared to be a little dance. Sarah hadn't even known plants could dance. "So let me get this straight," she said, finally managing to anchor herself back to her chair. "Not only did I survive the deadliest poison in the galaxy, but my body turned it into some sort of humanity juice. Preliminary tests show it grants approximately 23% of average human resilience," the third scientist confirmed. "Enough to, say, enjoy spicy food or watch horror movies without psychological damage." The Hive Mind collective pulsed with excitement. "Our drones have already volunteered for trials. They wish to experience something called roller coasters without experiencing immediate consciousness fragmentation." Sarah looked at Marcus, who was failing spectacularly at maintaining his professional composure. "Well," she said finally, "I suppose this means someone's getting a Nobel Prize. Probably my liver." "Actually," Marcus interjected, checking his messages, "the Galactic Science Academy is creating a new category. They're calling it the Humanity Works in Mysterious Ways Award." The next few weeks were a blur of scientific conferences, diplomatic meetings, increasingly bizarre demonstrations of human-inspired abilities. The Mersians developed a fondness for action movies. The Volrathi discovered they could finally try ice cream without their tendrils freezing solid. Even the silicon-based life forms were getting in on the action, experimenting with something they called extreme mineral collection. But it was the Hive Mind collective that truly embraced the human way. Their drones, emboldened by traces of humanium, had not only mastered jazz but had formed the galaxy's first Hive Mind swing band. Their interpretation of "In the Mood" was unique, especially when performed by beings with multiple appendages and no concept of individual expression. Sarah's office had become a sort of unofficial embassy for beings wanting to understand the human experience. Her purple glow had faded to a gentle shimmer, the anti-gravity episodes were down to once a week, and she'd finally convinced the maintenance bot that she wasn't a light fixture. "You know," she said to Marcus one evening, watching a group of traditionally stoic Phylaxians attempt to understand the concept of dancing like nobody's watching, "maybe this isn't such a bad development after all. The galaxy learning to embrace chaos the human way." "Exactly. We're not just surviving anymore, we're teaching the universe to adapt. One cup of poison coffee at a time." Her computer chimed with a final report from the xenobiology team: human adaptability confirmed as galaxy's most potent force. Recommendation: update all warning labels to include may cause unexpected evolution when exposed to humans. Sarah smiled, her faint purple glow creating a gentle aurora around her. Send a message to Earth Command, she told Marcus. Tell them Operation Accidental Diplomacy was a success. Also, we're going to need more coffee. The good stuff. Is there any other kind? And so, in a galaxy full of deadly poisons, ancient protocols, and rigid biological laws, humanity had once again proved that the best defense wasn't just surviving, it was thriving. They hadn't just adapted to the galaxy, they had made the galaxy adapt to them. As Sarah watched the Phylaxians discover the Macarena, she couldn't help but think that perhaps this was humanity's true superpower, not just the ability to survive anything, but to turn every survival into an opportunity for growth, change, and the occasional synchronized dance number. The next assassination attempt, she decided, would have to be really spectacular to top this one. Maybe something involving quantum mechanics. She made a mental note to stock up on coffee, just in case. After all, you never knew when you might need to accidentally revolutionize the laws of physics over a cup of joe. In the vast archive of galactic history, this incident would be recorded with a simple notation: the day humanity proved that what doesn't kill them not only makes them stronger but might also make them glow in the dark and teach a hive mind to appreciate jazz. And somewhere in the depths of space, a very confused assassin was updating their resume, adding a new skill experienced in accidentally advancing galactic civilization through failed murder attempts. Just another day in the life of humanity's most resilient species, turning certain death into diplomatic opportunities, one impossible survival at a time.